Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the COASTER-net Top 5. Tonight's episode, we have the Top 5 Best New Rides of 2016. We are ready to launch, so let's get down into the countdown.
5. Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan in Osaka, Japan. Flying Dinosaur opened in March of 2016 as a B&M flying coaster. The coaster lifts riders up a 151-foot lift hill and drops them at 124 feet, featuring 5 inversions, including a pretzel loop, inline twist, 2 of them actually, and an inside Raven turn. Now, this is a pretty lengthy coaster as well, Andy. It goes about 3,687 feet. We've seen videos of this. We saw that opening day where it was just flooded with people. You've seen the videos as well. What are your opinions on this extravagant ride?
You know, I think a lot of people, when they first saw the teasers last year of Flying Dino at Universal, a lot of people just thought it would just be another run-of-the-mill B&M flying coaster. But this one, now that it's been open and we've seen some POVs of it, we've seen some video of it, this one kind of is breaking the mold a little bit on the flying coaster. That it goes 62 miles an hour, really fast. You mentioned some of those great elements with the different inversions that it has. There's a 360-degree helix on this bad boy. And I think the coolest part is some of the theming that they put on it. That even in the station itself, they have these huge cages that, that serve as the security railings. But it just makes it feel like you're actually entering into this Jurassic Park type area and actually going to ride this ride through this park. I think Flying Dino, if this coaster would be in America, if this exact model was built in America, that a lot more people would be talking about this ride and probably talking about maybe it being in contention for the best new ride of 2016. However, because it's in Japan, it's probably not going to get the ridership that it needs to really make an impact on some of the polls this year. But I still think that definitely this ride is one of the top 5 new coasters of 2016 by far. It looks amazing. It looks super intense. And I think the theme just puts the icing on the cake for it. And for sure, Flying Dino is going to be talked about, and hopefully I'll one day be able to get out there to ride it. Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. Mako is slated to open up in June of this year, and it is another B&M hypercoaster. This one, though, has a length of 4,760 feet, a height of 200 feet, and a drop of 200 feet, making it the tallest roller coaster in Orlando. And I think one of the biggest things about this ride is the speed of 73 miles an hour. Now, Dwayne, if you remember, a lot of people rolled their eyes when Mako was first announced, but I think that attitudes might have changed since then. What are your thoughts on this new hypercoaster down in Florida?
You know, the word that came to my mind immediately when they announced this ride last year was cookie cutter. Right, because we think of the B&M hypercoasters as being cookie cutter because they're all generally the same thing. They really have a lot of airtime hills. They focus on speed off of the first drop. But after seeing the initial test runs that we received from this ride, I can vouch and say this is not going to be your everyday cookie cutter B&M hypercoaster. The speed looked like it was going to be throughout. It wasn't something that was going to slow down. The airtime hills, just the sheer fact of going over the water and having that surrounding you the whole time. The train looks amazing. I think that the artwork of that, doing it after the Mako shark, the fact that the Mako shark being one of the fastest sharks in the ocean, I think all of that really plays in. I think the theme is going to be good. Of course, it's at SeaWorld, so you're going to have that aspect of it where you're not going to get that in most of the theme parks or amusement parks, something like a Diamondback, for example, where the artwork on the train is very good. All right, but then you go to a park like one of the Six Flags, for example, and you see all these that are just kind of in the parking lot, or that are just over top the parking lot. And they really don't have a lot of theming to them. So I think the advantage here is going to be that it's at a park like SeaWorld. It's long, 4,760 feet. It is over 200 feet. So of course that's a big thing. You want to have that really nice drop. To get that speed, 73 miles per hour is going to be, and it seems like it carries the speed. And I know we here at COASTER.net, we say it all the time. We rank our coasters that way, or at least I do. I know you do. Is that coaster going to withhold that speed through the entire course, through brake runs, through everything? Or are we going to have a coaster where we see the first half really good, the back half, So this one, to me, of course, again, we haven't ridden it. Going off of the test run video that we've seen, looks like it's going to deliver. And I think because of that, it deserves the number 4 ranking here on the COASTER.net Top 5.
3.
Val Raven at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Val Raven is a B&M dive coaster, which will be the 3rd B&M dive coaster in the United States and the 10th overall. This wonderful dive coaster will lift riders up a lift hill of 223 feet and drop them at a 90-degree angle. Yes, straight down, 214 feet clear to the ground. All right, while going at speeds over 75 miles per hour, there'll be 3 inversions, a 165-foot tall Immelman, a dive loop, as well as a 0G roll. And Andy, we look at this, and we've taken a look at this. We've discussed it in the forums. We've discussed it everywhere. It's been a huge discussion point ever since it was announced. You had people out there who were skeptical of it. You've had people who said, "Oh, it's just a dive coaster. We've ridden Griffin. They're all the same." And then, of course, the people said, "Well, there's no tunnels. There's no splashdown. It just doesn't look like it's going to be very fun." But we just had the initial test rides and the staff rides. And according to the staff, they say that might not be what people should be thinking. This is your home park. You had your skepticism as well at the beginning. So what are your opinions now that you've seen all of this?
Well, like you were saying, just like with Mako, I think a lot of people were like, well, we've seen this already. This is nothing new. But from all intents and purposes, I think Val Raven has a few things going for it. The first is the new type of vest restraint. And there's a lot of critics on that, too, that a lot of people say, well, maybe the old hard restraint would be better because you'd get more airtime on it. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case. I think these new vest restraints are really going to allow some more movement and some more freedom as you traverse this track. I think after seeing these initial test runs, I think I'm a lot more excited about Val Raven, specifically because it carries its speed very well. I think when you have some rides on the outside parts of these trains, I think you're going to have some really intense forces. And a lot of people are pointing at some of the inversions, especially the 0G roll, and the airtime hill at the end too. A lot of people are like, oh, there won't be any airtime. You never get airtime on dive coasters, but I think this one's going to break the mold as well. So I think that last airtime hill is going to give you a nice little pop. So hopefully when all of this is put together, I think that we're going to have a really exciting roller coaster. The views are supposedly going to be breathtaking from the top. I love that view going out from Magnum over the lake. And this one's going to give you a very similar view to that. And I really think that Val Raven is going to surprise some people. Plus, I think the most important part of this is I get to go to Cedar Point every year. I go multiple times to Cedar Point every year. I'm going to get to ride a dive coaster every single trip now, as opposed to maybe the once or twice every year, maybe every other year that I get to ride Shikara or Griffin. So I'm really going to love Val Raven, I think. And I think people, once it opens, A lot of people are always skeptical about these things. People are skeptical about Gatekeeper, about all these other coasters, but once it opens, people are going to fall in love with this ride, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen with Val Raven, and that's why we have it ranked number 3 on our COASTER.net Top 5.
2,
Terran at Phantasialand in Brühl, Germany. Terran is an Intamin Blitz coaster that will be opening up this year and features 2 LIM launches, a length of 4,593 feet, all reaching speeds of 62 miles an hour. Now, Dwayne, a lot of people are really excited about Terran because not only is it super themed, but it has a lot of similarities to a coaster that's near and dear to both of our hearts. So why don't you talk about what you think about Terran?
Well, I first wish this was built here in the United States because it would be a place where I would travel to just to ride this ride. Of course, the similarities you're talking about, it goes back to Maverick, the one Blitz coaster that is in the United States up at Cedar Point. Currently, my number 1 roller coaster still. Fury got close to beating it, but not quite. I just love everything about it. It doesn't have to be tall to me. Again, it's all about speed. And the terrain-hugging coaster, close to the ground, keeping the speed, really good laterals, going through very quick movements, none of these that take forever to come about or whatever. It doesn't really jerk you around. This Terran looks exactly like that. Plus, the theming is like twice of what Maverick is, right? So you have, the rock formations or whatever well, this is like kind of looks like an old rust mine type area where, going inside and out of that, around it, the terrain coasters to me have always been a favorite of mine, of something that, is really low to the ground. What I really don't understand is why the United States has not put more of these in. If Maverick was so good, why other coaster parks, why other theme parks have not gone after something like this? Because Terran, and of course I've seen the videos of it, looks fantastic. And if I were to take a trip to Germany, this is one that I would definitely want to get on. And because of that, and because of the fact it's very close to Maverick, it deserves number 2 on our COASTER.net Top 5.
1,
Lightning Rod at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Lightning Rod is slated to open up later this year as a Rocky Mountain construction coaster custom. Has a length of 3,800 feet and literally takes riders up the side of a mountain and then drops them 165 foot down the mountain. Its feature element will be a quadruple down, something that no other wooden coaster has seen before. It is going to have an LSM lift hills, again, the first ever wooden launched coaster in the world, and had a price tag, get this, $22 million. Now, Andy, you and I had a chance to go down. We've seen the coaster. We were actually hoping to get to ride it. We know that they had some issues with the lift hill and the launch, and so it wasn't open when we were down there, but we did get a chance to see it. It is a spectacle. When they say it's built on the side of a mountain, it literally is built on the side of a mountain. I'm excited for it. I know you are. So what are your thoughts and maybe your opinions, and when do you think it might open, for example?
Well, I'll tell you what. We saw some testing going on this past weekend, and that first launch, because we've never seen the launch up the lift hill before, and when we saw the video of that launch, it looks really fantastic. One of those launches that gets faster as it proceeds up the hill. And then we've already seen some of the test video. We've seen the renderings from the initial announcement. We've seen the first test video that was put out by Dollywood, and that thing is really hauling through that track. And a lot of people are saying how this is going to be a new standard for wood coasters, and I have a tendency to believe that, because a lot of people love Outlaw Run. That Outlaw Run won the Thrilling 32 this year for the wood side, but the one criticism, the one knock on Outlaw Run has always been that it felt too short. Well, I think here you're taking a lot of those elements that were successful in Outlaw Run, making even more really intriguing elements like the quadruple down, like that launch, and then add that to things like the wave turn and the things that RMC is known to do on their coasters. And I think you really have a winner here with Lightning Rod that I think people will soon forget that this thing didn't open up on time. And people are saying that it's going to be opening up pretty soon. Some people are saying by the end of April, the middle of May, somewhere in this range, that we're going to see Lightning Rod open. And I think once it does, we're going to hear some really stellar reviews coming out of this ride. That this ride might be the one ride this year that really blows up coaster rankings. That anyone who gets the opportunity to ride this, I think, is really going to have it really high on their list. Are we talking a new number one wood coaster? I think we might be. That all the other rides on this list, I don't think we're talking a new number one. Last year we had Fury 325 that people said it's a new number one. And I think this year, Lightning Rod, when it finally opens, will be talked about in that new number one spot as the best wood coaster, not only the best new coaster of 2016, but the best new coaster and best wood coaster overall. Of any wood coaster. So I'm really excited to see Lightning Rod open, and I think it definitely deserves our number one spot this week on the COASTER-net Top 5. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up our show tonight. I'm, of course, Andrew Rabarchak from Chicago, Illinois. But before we go, we have to announce next week's topic, and that's going to be the best B&M invert coasters. So, ladies and gentlemen, get your votes in, and we're going to determine not just any inverts, but what are the best B&M inverts. So get your votes in. We'll have that link down at the bottom so that you can vote and participate and influence this top 5. And, of course, I am Andrew Rabarchak from Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Dwayne Sponseller from Parkersburg, West Virginia. As always, may the Q lines be ever in your favor.
Right on, Ride Warriors.